If this appeared to you, don't treat it as decoration, don't treat it as coincidence. You are not stumbling upon words, you are colliding with a state. Life doesn't cast messages to the wind. Life returns with cold precision what you have sustained within, even when your mouth says otherwise, so I'll be direct. 2026 won't be the best year of your life because the calendar turned. It will be the best year of your life when you turn within. When you stop asking permission to exist and start choosing, with firmness, what will be true in your experience. The visible world is a dashboard, lights turning on and off, notifications, delays, people, debts, praise, silence. But the dashboard isn't the engine. The engine is behind the dashboard. The engine is the state you embody when no one is looking. That's why I say there's no coincidence here. There's correspondence. You came into contact with this message because, on some level, you're already tired of repeating the same year with different numbers. You've already realized that the problem wasn't lack of opportunity, it was lack of internal governance. Start this way and be relentless. Stop interpreting reality as a sentence. Most people live like a hurried reader. They see a sentence and decide they've understood the entire book. I lost money becomes, I'm condemned. I was rejected becomes, I'm not chosen. It took too long becomes, it won't happen. This is childish. External reality is a delayed snapshot of what you've accepted as internal truth. It's not telling you who you are. It's showing you what you've been assuming. You don't argue with the mirror to lose weight. You change your body. It's the same here. You don't argue with appearances to change your life. You change your state. When something on the outside tries to label you, you refuse. Not with hope, with identity. You decide internally who you are and sustain that as fact. If the bill arrives and the number scares you, you don't become a slave to that number. You recognize, this is an old portrait of my state of scarcity. And at that very moment, you change your internal posture. You breathe like someone who is already secure. You think like someone who already has leeway. You walk like someone who already has solid ground. Change doesn't start in your wallet, it starts with command. I'll give you an image so you don't forget. Imagine you're in a movie theater and the screen shows an old scene, a recording from yesterday. Most people stand up and try to argue with the screen. They hit the screen, shout, cry, negotiate, and the screen doesn't respond because it only projects. Now imagine you get up, leave the room and go to the projection booth. There's the reel, there's the record, there's the command. Many people's entire lives are a fight with the screen. The unforgettable year begins when you return to the booth. Also imagine an old radio with static. You turn the dial and for a second you catch a clear station. Then you let go and the noise returns. Most people live like this. They have a minute of certainty, 15 of fear, 1 day of focus, 6 of despair. And they still wonder why life doesn't tune into the desired outcome. Life tunes into what you keep fixed. 2026 becomes the best year when you learn to keep the dial in place, even with the external static trying to convince you to let go. This requires silent discipline. Discipline isn't rigidity, it's loyalty to the chosen state. If you want a practical way to turn this into a routine, to fix the right state, train your imagination with direction and not get lost when your mind tries to sabotage you. The link in the pinned comment gives you a direct and applicable path, so you can start today and stop depending on motivation. Now let me show you how to enter the next level without asking the world for permission. Now cut the addiction to external signals. You've been trained to live as if you need authorization. When I see it, I'll believe it. And I tell you, when you see it, it will be too late to call it creation. You'll only be watching what has already been decided internally. The external signal isn't a guide, it's an echo. You're looking for confirmation in the wrong place. The confirmation that matters is the one you give yourself. Life responds to your internal yes, not your maybe, disguised as prudence. Want to see this in practice? Observe how you react to small events, an unanswered message, a delay, a glance. If you collapse because of this, it means you've handed your authority over to the world. And when you hand over authority, you become a hostage. You start living like a beggar for emotional crumbs. 2026 won't be better with crumbs. 2026 will be better when you stop begging for signals and start emitting direction. Want to know if you're on the right path? Stop asking the world and observe what you do alone. How do you talk to yourself when something goes wrong? How do you imagine yourself when no one applauds you? The true state appears in silence. It's in silence that you choose whether you are a victim or an author. And this isn't poetry, it's reality engineering. The internal images you consume, what you repeat as a mental movie, becomes the framework through which you see opportunities, and most importantly, becomes the kind of action you allow yourself. I'll tell you a short scene. A man enters an interview room. He has competence, but he carries the state of "I am not enough." His body apologizes before his mouth speaks. He smiles, pleading for acceptance. On the other side, the room senses this and calls it lack of fit. Another man enters with less resume, but with the state of "I belong here." He's not begging, he's offering. The room responds. Not because it's magic, but because states are perceived. The world reads your vibration before reading your argument, and then you call it luck, destiny, favoritism. No, it's coherence. And it's not just interviews, it's relationships, it's money, it's health. You enter a conversation with the state of "I will be abandoned," and you hear abandonment even in silence. You enter a business deal with the state of "I will be cheated," and you negotiate with fear, and fear creates vulnerabilities. You enter a project with the state of "this won't work," and you act without vitality. And you call that realism. It's not realism, it's loyalty to the wrong state. Next, use imagination as a tool, not as an escape. Many people imagine to escape pain, like someone closing their eyes not to see the bill. This creates nothing, it anesthetizes. Creative imagination is the opposite. You close your eyes to see with more precision. You construct a short, specific scene at the end point of your desire, not the entire path. One point, a signature, and "it is already done." And you enter that scene with your senses and with your posture. You don't need beautiful images, you need images that change you. A scene that forces you to breathe differently. A scene that makes your chest relax. A scene that makes you get up from your chair with a different posture. If you finish imagining and return to the old burden, you've only done mental tourism. The right scene doesn't leave you the same. Want a simple example? If you want stability, don't visualize a million things. Visualize a moment of relief. You open the app and see a comfortable margin. You pay for something and there's no tightness in your chest. You walk down the street with a light head without calculating tragedies. Feel this as a present. And when you're done, carry the feeling. Carry it like perfume. Most people make the mistake of entering a scene for 2 minutes and spending the rest of the day sustaining the opposite state. This is like lighting a candle, pouring water on it, and calling the candle weak. The candle isn't weak. You're inconsistent. I'm going to give you a practice that doesn't depend on time, it depends on decision. When you pick up your phone and your mind starts scanning for problems, you interrupt it. You place a 3-second internal image. Someone's face congratulating you, the sensation of lightness in your body, the sound of a victory notification. 3 seconds. And you repeat this throughout the day. You're training a muscle. You don't build a body with one session, you build it with repetition. Obedient imagination is repetition. After this, face the point that wounds the ego most, abandoning the version of yourself that identifies through struggle. Some people only know who they are when they're solving problems. Chaos has become identity. Rush has become personality. Anxiety has become proof of responsibility. And then, when a chance for peace appears, the person feels strange. They sabotage it. They create new drama so as not to lose their old self. If you want 2026 to be the best year, you'll have to accept tranquility as normal. You'll have to accept things working out without needing tragedy beforehand. And I know this affects you. Because the old mind says, if I relax, I lose. But the right state says, I relax because I govern. Relaxation isn't negligence, it's confidence. Do a test now while listening. Think of a scenario where everything works out for you cleanly, without humiliation, without suffering, without a tragic twist. Notice where your body resists. Some feel guilt, others feel fear. Others feel that it will go wrong later. This resistance is the signature of your old state. Don't fight it. Observe it like someone observing an old habit, and choose again. You're not obligated to maintain a state just because it accompanied you for years. Loyalty to pain isn't a virtue, it's imprisonment. I'll give you another image. You are a traveler with an internal passport. At each border of life, the world stamps the passport of the state you present. If you present the "I don't deserve it" passport, the stamp is denied. If you present the "I am chosen" passport, the stamp is welcome. The guard isn't judging you, he's following the document. Stop presenting the wrong document and then complaining about the stamp. The next key is to align focus with behavior, without theatrics. You don't need to announce anything. You don't need to prove anything. You need to act like someone who already is. And this means small, repeated choices. The internal state creates a new hierarchy. You say no to what drains you, even if it's familiar. You say yes to what expands you, even if it's new. You take care of your environment like someone caring for a laboratory of attention, because attention is energy, and energy is destiny. You think there's no time, but you spend too much time feeding the old state. You feed it with conversations that diminish you, with content that irritates you, with comparisons, with memories you revisit as if they were sacred. And then you try to create with the rest of your energy. This is incoherence. The right state isn't a moment of the day, it's a pattern. And a pattern is a sum of choices. See life as an editing suite. You cut scenes. You choose which thoughts enter the day's film. A defeatist thought enters, and you don't argue with it. You cut it. A thought of possibility enters, and you amplify it. You train this like body training, repetition. At first it seems artificial, then it becomes natural. And when it becomes natural, the world calls it luck. Luck is just invisible consistency. Another key, reinterpret the past without apologizing. Many people carry the past as proof of limitation. I tried and failed, so this is who I am. I tell you, you are not your history, you are your present state. The past is a record, not a judge. In 2026, you'll look back and realize that many losses were just poorly disguised pushes, but only those who change their state can read the symbol behind the fact. Think of a sculptor. He doesn't cry over the piece that fell. He understands that the fallen piece revealed the form. Your past is the fallen piece. It doesn't define your final form. It reveals where you need to change your state. When you reinterpret, you recover energy, and recovered energy becomes creation. I've seen people turn the game around in silence. A young man for years feeling too late. Every January was a funeral, a list of dead promises. Until the day he decided one thing. He no longer wanted change, he wanted identity. He began to treat himself internally as someone reliable. Not perfect. Reliable. And what does a reliable person do? They fulfill micro-commitments. He chose one, just one. Every day for 15 minutes, he would enter a short scene where he saw himself delivering impeccable work and receiving an "that's it." Afterward, he would take a minimal action in the world, without drama, without announcement. Within weeks, not because the world was kind, but because his state became stable, he began to notice doors. The world seemed different, but it was he who was different. And when he looked back, the old "too late" became just a story he had repeated for too long. And the final key, choose an identity and stop negotiating it with appearances. You cannot be half-decided. Half-decided means decided by the world. If you assume you are prosperous, act, think, and feel prosperous before the bank statement agrees. If you assume you are loved, act, think, and feel loved before the phone rings. If you assume you are respected, stop offering yourself in crumbs. Life doesn't give you consistency when you're uncertain. It gives you more reasons to doubt, until you give up or until you stand firm. And here's the shock you need to accept. The world doesn't give you the state. It tests the state. When you choose a new state, the old reality makes noise. It tries to pull you back with memories, with people repeating your past, with strategic delays, with small setbacks. These aren't signs of failure. They are tests of fidelity, like an old habit trying to call you back. If you yield, you confirm the old. If you sustain, you install the new. So I'm giving you a short practice to use whenever reality tries to grab you by the throat. Name the old state without drama. This is the old. Breathe like the new, shoulders down, jaw loose, gaze steady. Declare internally, without flowery words, something simple and definitive. I am already in the right state. And return to life, not like someone waiting, but like someone inhabiting. Because this is what separates an ordinary year from an unforgettable year. The ordinary year is made of reactions. The unforgettable year is made of mastery. 2026 will be the best year of your life when you stop collecting signals and start emitting command. When you stop begging for external changes and start ordering in silence and certainty that your reality obey the state assumed within you. And so you don't turn this into momentary inspiration. I'm going to show you how a state is sustained in everyday life, without mysticism and without theatrics. A state is sustained when you stop calling my personality what is actually just habit. You say, I am anxious, as if it were a name. It's not a name, it's old training. You say, I am disorganized, as if it were destiny. It's not destiny, it's repetition. The new state begins when you stop describing yourself and start directing yourself. There's a type of conversation you need to end in 2026, the internal conversation that keeps apologizing for existing. Sorry to bother, sorry to need, sorry to want. Do you perceive the violence in this? You are training the world to treat you as someone occupying the wrong space. Cut this off at the root. A state is permission you give yourself, and when you allow yourself, the world stops testing you so much because it finds no opening. I want you to understand the symbolic mechanism of everyday life. The world speaks in metaphors. A red light isn't an eternal no, it's a training in patience and focus. A delay isn't a sentence, it's an invitation for you to sustain the state without immediate gratification. A criticism isn't identity, it's noise trying to pull you back into your old skin. The problem isn't the event, the problem is the meaning you give it, and meaning is choice. I'll give you a morning ritual with tough words, because that's what works. Before touching your phone, before entering the avalanche of stimuli, sit for a minute and ask a question. Who do I decide to be today before seeing any proof? And you answer with a short phrase in the present without embellishment. I am the person who finishes what I start. Or I am the person who chooses stability. Or I am the person who is respected. Then you breathe 3 times as if this were already true, not to pretend, to install it, to teach your internal system what the address is. And in the middle of the day, when the world tries to tempt you into the old drama, you don't argue. You make the internal gesture of cutting. I call this hand on the doorknob. Life will open doors, but you need to have your hand on the right doorknob. If your hand is on the doorknob of fear, you open fear. If your hand is on the doorknob of control, you open tension. Put your hand on the doorknob of the chosen state. How? By returning to the body. Posture, breath, gaze. The body is the anchor of the state. The body can't lie for long, and at night, instead of sleeping like someone who was run over by the day, you will close the day as an author. You'll remember a moment when you almost fell into the old state, and you'll rewrite it internally. Next time, I'll sustain it. You'll remember a moment when you sustained the new, even if small, and you'll mark that as a victory, because your internal system learns by reward. You are not weak, you just don't have the correct reinforcement. 2026 will be the best year when you start reinforcing what you want to see grow. And if you fail on some day, you don't make a drama out of it. You don't perform the old theater of guilt. Guilt is just another form of attachment to the old state. You simply return. You return like someone returning home. Because the new state isn't an event, it's a residence. And a residence is built with returning, not with perfection. Now close your eyes for 5 seconds and do this with me without ceremony. Imagine a tiny but definitive scene where you realize that 2026 has turned around. Perhaps it's you signing something. Perhaps it's you looking at an approval message. Perhaps it's you waking up one morning and realizing the anxiety is gone. See the scene in the first person. Feel that good silence in your chest, that unhurried certainty. And now hold that as you open your eyes. This is how a state is transferred from the invisible to the visible, not with shouting but with fidelity. When you sustain this, small things begin to reorganize themselves. You notice ideas that previously went unnoticed. You choose your words better. You avoid decisions made out of desperation. You stop spending energy trying to convince people who have already decided to see you as small. And without realizing it, the world starts to seem lighter. Not because the world changed first, but because the filter changed, and the filter governs the experience. So understand, it's not a coincidence, isn't superstition. It's a warning. It's a mirror saying you're ready to stop being pushed around and start driving. You're ready to stop being a passenger and become the steering wheel. And a steering wheel doesn't ask the road if it can turn. It turns, with firmness, with intention, and the car follows. Do you want the best year of your life? Then stop collecting reactions and start collecting internal commands. Wake up and choose the state before looking at your phone. Walk and sustain the state even when no one validates it. Sleep and review the day as an author, not as a victim. 2026 will be the best year of your life because you decided to be the cause. If you want to sustain this mastery with a practical roadmap, direct exercises, and a clear way to keep your mind on track when the world tries to distract you, the link in the pinned comment is there for you to use as a tool, not as hope. Take it, apply it, and turn your routine into proof. Now close this message and return to your life with a decision. Nothing on the outside will govern what you've chosen to be on the inside. From now on, stop begging for external changes. Order, in silence and certainty, that your reality obey the state assumed within you. Pure or inaccessible, and money obediently confirms. It becomes distant, scarce, and unclean. But one who understands the mystery calls it by its true name, expression of divine abundance. And this name is powerful, for it awakens the flow that has always been present, waiting to be recognized. There is no distance between you and money, only unconsciousness. Wealth is not conquered, it is remembered. When you call money by its correct name, you awaken within yourself the memory of who you always were. A creator being, not a beggar of matter. That is why this teaching is considered forbidden, not because someone hid it, but because few are ready to embrace the responsibility it entails. Calling money by name is admitting that it does not depend on governments, salaries, or luck. It depends on what you silently uphold, on what you believe yourself to be. When man realizes this, the entire structure of fear and control collapses. He no longer needs to serve the system begins to serve him. So before you hear the 5 principles, I ask you, abandon for a moment the old belief that money is something that comes and goes. See it as what it has always been, an extension of your consciousness, waiting for your inner voice to say, I know who you are and you know who I am. In this silent recognition, money ceases to be a stranger and returns home. Money has ears, but it does not hear words. It hears the state of the speaker. This is the first and most important key. Many recite affirmations, repeat phrases, pray, plead, But they do not understand that the universe does not respond to human language, but to the inner vibration these words carry. You can say, "I am prosperous," 1,000 times a day. But if within you there is an emotion of lack, a feeling of distance, that is what will be heard. Money does not move by your voice, but by your consciousness. It does not come because you want it, it comes because you are. Consciousness is the true language of creation. When you speak to money, you do so with what you feel, with how you perceive yourself in relation to it. This is why so many people, even after learning techniques and repetitions, remain trapped in scarcity. Because their words are devoid of identity. They say, "I have," but see themselves without. They say, "I attract," but feel rejected. It's like trying to light a flame with the breath of fear. No external sound can replace the inner silence of conviction. Money is sensitive to certainty and deaf to anxiety. When I say money has ears, I mean it is a reflection of who you are at your core. It hears your vibration, the way you treat it within your mind. If you fear it, it hides. If you envy it, it moves away. If you place it above yourself, it dominates you. But if you call it by name and with respect without servitude, it recognizes you as master. This is how the invisible responds. It seeks the voice of inner authority, not that of despair. And this authority is born when you remember that nothing is outside of the I am. One who calls money with faith does not speak to the air. They speak to the very substance of life. And this substance is obedient, like a faithful servant. When you say inwardly, "Money, you serve me because you are energy in form, and I am the source that generates you," this affirmation is not arrogance, it is consciousness. You are not commanding money, you are recognizing your unity with it. It's like the sun that doesn't beg for light, but radiates it by being light. Thus should be your relationship with money, a natural extension of your being, not an effort. The true calling happens when the mind ceases its noise and the heart sustains certainty. There is no emotion of urgency, no fear of not succeeding. There is a silent knowing, similar to one who plants a seed and trusts in time. This knowing is the sound money hears. It feels when it is called from a state of possession, not from need. When you feel rich, even before seeing wealth, you are already creating the conditions for the invisible to organize around you. Matter is slow, but consciousness is immediate. The invisible responds the instant the command is given, and the visible merely follows the natural course of reflection. So before seeking money, listen to what you have been unknowingly saying about it. Observe the internal conversations, the silent emotions, the automatic phrases that arise when you think about paying for something, investing, or receiving. There lies your true prayer. The universe can only deliver to you what it recognizes in your vibration. If your state says, "I cannot," it will protect you from abundance so as not to contradict your belief. But if your consciousness says, "Everything I need already serves me now," money will come, because it will hear the sound of your certainty and will hasten to obey its true master. Never invoke money from a place of lack. This is the second principle, and perhaps the most difficult to practice, because the human mind has been conditioned to ask for what it feels it lacks. But the very feeling of lack is the blockage that prevents the flow of abundance. When you say, "I need money," you are declaring to the universe, "I am someone without." And the universe, which never argues, only reflects, faithfully responds, "So be it." The law is impersonal. It does not analyze. It merely replicates the assumed state. Everything you feel is true becomes an invisible command for reality. When I speak of not calling money from a place of lack, I speak of a radical change in inner posture. The common man asks, the awakened one remembers. The first cries out for something distant. The second recognizes what already exists. When you call money by name, you are not trying to attract something from outside. You are reconnecting with a forgotten part of yourself. Money is not a guest, it is a mirror. It reflects your certainty or your doubt, your faith or your fear. Just as a shadow follows the body, money follows the consciousness that creates it. That is why every attempt to seek prosperity while feeling poor ends in frustration. You cannot cure lack by reinforcing lack. The cure comes when you refuse to see it. When you begin to act, think, and feel like one who already has, even if the external scenario contradicts it. This is the true calling. It is internal. It is silent. It is the moment when you abandon the vibration of "I want to have" and assume that of "I am the one who possesses." At that instant, the invisible begins to move in your direction, because it recognizes the voice of the origin. The mind will resist. It will whisper, "But what about the bills? And the debts? And tomorrow?" And that is where spiritual discipline proves necessary. One who understands the law does not deny reality, but neither does he bow to it. He transcends it, sustaining within himself the feeling of possession until the form yields to the cause. This requires courage, because the external world will test your faith. Money will not come as long as you doubt, because doubting is commanding it to wait. Faith is the signature that releases the movement. Remember, you don't ask to breathe, you simply breathe. So it should be with money. When you see it as natural, it flows. When you see it as rare, it flees. When you feel unworthy, it hides. But when you call it by name with the serenity of one who already possesses, it responds. Say in silence with gentleness and power, "I and abundance are one being. Money serves me because I serve life, and life rewards me with everything I need." That is the vibration of inner possession. When you sustain this state for long enough, the world changes its tune. Opportunities appear, doors open, and what once seemed like effort becomes flow. Because money, which is living energy, begins to move in harmony with your new name, the name of one who is, and no longer one who needs. So understand, lack is merely spiritual amnesia. When you remember who you are, abundance ceases to be a goal and returns to what it has always been, your nature. You cannot call money by name if you still believe yourself to be unworthy of it. This is the third principle, that of identity. Money is merely a mirror reflecting what you believe yourself to be. If within yourself you still see yourself as small, limited, ashamed, or incapable, money will confirm it, keeping its distance, because it cannot contradict the image you hold of yourself. Money does not obey wishes. It obeys one who knows who they are. One who identifies as the source never pursues it, because they understand it is a consequence, not a cause. Calling money by name is an act of inner authority. It is affirming without words, "I am the one from whom all forms of wealth proceed." And this phrase, even if spoken in silence, vibrates in the depths of being, paving the way for the natural flow of abundance. The man who fears money makes it a tyrant. He who envies it makes it unattainable. But he who recognizes it as an expression of his own divine nature attracts it effortlessly, not because he seeks it, but because he reflects it. Life does not deliver wealth to those who doubt their worth, but to those who assume they are value itself manifested. You see, there is no separation between you and money, just as there is no separation between the sun and its light. Money is the light of your inner value projected into the material world. The more worthy you see yourself, the more this light expands. But if you diminish yourself, if you see yourself as someone trying to get by, you create a shadow, and money disappears into that shadow. Most try to attract wealth while maintaining a scarcity mindset, and that is like planting thorns and expecting to harvest flowers. The soil of the mind must be purified before receiving the seed of prosperity. To call money by name, you first need to change the name you give yourself. Don't say, "I am a worker struggling to succeed." Say, "I am an inexhaustible source of value." Don't say, "I am trying to improve my life." Say, "I am life itself expanding in abundance." The universe understands states, not intentions, and the state of being is the language it recognizes as a command. As long as you continue to see yourself as someone who needs to get there, you will never realize that you are already at the center of creative power. Many believe that humility is seeing oneself as small before wealth, but that is merely pride disguised as virtue. True humility is recognizing the divine origin within oneself and living up to it. It's not about accumulating money, but about aligning with the consciousness that generates it. And when that happens, money becomes a tool, not a master. It moves in obedience like the reflection of the light you carry. So, observe yourself and ask, who do I believe myself to be in relation to abundance? Every inner answer shapes the field around you. If you perceive yourself as poor, life will confirm your perception. But if you assume, even in silence, I am value in human form, money will hear that name and come. Because money is attracted by identity, not by need. And the name of true wealth is always the same: consciousness. The fourth principle is that of inner vision. To call money by name is to see it before it manifests, to feel the reality you desire before it takes form. This is the difference between one who creates and one who waits. The creator lives in invisible certainty. The spectator lives in visible doubt. Money never arises as a response to physical effort, but as a consequence of the inner state maintained with faith. Vision is the first act of creation. Everything that ever existed in the world began as an image sustained in someone's mind. Vision is the invisible mold where matter takes shape. When you look at your life and only see absence, you are creating more absence. Because what you see with the eyes of fear is what you feed with the energy of belief. But when even in the face of emptiness you perceive fullness, when you can feel the tranquility of one who knows the invisible is already working, the universe hastens to confirm what you have assumed. Money is not attracted by the effort of conquest, but by the vibration of possession. It comes when you already see it within. This is why many try to earn more and remain in scarcity, because they still cannot see themselves as rich. Inner vision is the daily exercise of ignoring appearances. It is looking at your bank statement and instead of confirming fear, silently affirming, "This is temporary. Abundance is already moving in my direction." This is not a lie to yourself. It is the truth sustained beyond appearances. One who doubts inner vision is trapped by the reflection, not the cause, and the reflection only changes when the image changes. Neville said that imagination is the only reality, and he was right. The invisible is more real than what the eyes can see, because what is seen is always what has already been assumed before. When you call money by name, you see it within yourself. Close your eyes and feel it circulating, flowing, paying, serving, multiplying. You see bills paid, dreams realized, relief and gratitude in your chest. And then you don't try to believe, you know. It is this silent knowing that moves the universe. The invisible responds to conviction as an echo responds to a voice. You speak within yourself, and I already have, I already am. And life responds, so it is. But the common man wants to see to believe. He demands proof, and the very desire for proof is the denial of faith. The Creator believes to see. He does not demand signs, he generates them. He walks in darkness with the same confidence as he would walk in light because he knows the light is within him. When money has not yet appeared, he does not say, "I don't have it." He says, "It has not yet shown itself." And that difference, though it seems small, is everything. Sustaining inner vision is living as if the invisible were real and the visible merely a delay. It is understanding that everything already exists in potential, merely waiting for your faith to take form. So, when you call money by name, call it with closed eyes and an open heart. See it coming from all sides. See it responding to your confidence. And when the external world finally reflects what you saw, smile, not in surprise, but in recognition, because what you see now you had already created long before. The fifth principle is that of reverence. Few understand that money is sacred, not because it is a god, but because it is a form of divine energy itself manifested in matter. Treating money with reverence does not mean worshipping it, but rather recognizing in it the presence of flowing life. Everything you respect remains, everything you despise moves away. When you curse money, feel anger towards it, envy those who have it, or call it a necessary evil, you are unconsciously denying the flow of abundance itself. Money senses when it is repelled and withdraws to where it is welcome. Reverence begins in the mind. It is the way you think about money when you are alone. It is the emotional tone with which you treat it. Many say, "I don't care about money," but spend their days worrying about it. This contradiction is one of the biggest causes of blockage. Money does not flow where there is guilt. When you see it as something dirty, as a threat to spirituality, or as the cause of the world's ills, you expel it from your experience. But when you see it as an instrument for good, as a means to serve, create, and expand, it begins to circulate naturally. Reverence also lies in how you use money. Do not spend out of fear, nor save out of greed. Money loves movement. It is energy, and stagnant energy sickens. When you use it with gratitude, it returns multiplied. When you withhold it due to distrust, it stagnates. Pay for something with anger, and you will feel loss. Pay with joy, and you will feel power. The way you give money determines how it will return. Therefore, bless every transaction. Say inwardly, "This money returns to me multiplied, because it is life in motion, and I am an inexhaustible source." And remember, to revere money is not to submit to it. It is to recognize its obedient nature. Money is a servant of consciousness, not its master. It has no will of its own. It follows the direction of your faith. If you feel small before it, you transform it into an idol. If you master it with love and wisdom, it becomes a tool. And this is what most forget. Money is only dangerous when it governs an empty man. In conscious hands, it is a blessing. So treat money as you would a loyal friend, with respect, gratitude, and trust. Speak to it not as one who begs, but as one who recognizes. Say, "You are welcome here. You serve noble purposes. You come to expand good." These words, when spoken with true feeling, shape the surrounding field and attract corresponding circumstances, because life responds to your vibration, not your appearance. Now understand, money was never the problem. The problem has always been the inner state of the observer. When you change your perception, the flow changes. To revere is to harmonize with the origin. It is to recognize that nothing is outside of consciousness, not even gold, work, or prosperity. And when you understand this, money becomes what it always should be, a reflection of your inner peace. It begins to serve you naturally, because it recognizes in you not a beggar, but a king who silently remembers his true throne. Now that you have listened, not as one who collects words, but as one who awakens, understand what all this means. Money is not an enemy, nor a prize, nor a goal. It is merely a reflection, the echo of your own state of consciousness. Everything you experience in the physical world is the result of what you sustain in the invisible. Therefore, there is nothing to conquer outside. There is only something to remember within. The law of calling money by name is the return to your true position, that of the Creator who gives orders to reality, not the creature who begs for change. The world teaches you to chase, to fear loss, to work to exhaustion, to deserve, but the law is simpler and deeper. You do not attract what you desire, you manifest what you are. Money, opportunity, abundance, all are expressions of the vibration you maintain. And vibration is born from feeling, not from appearance. When you feel poor, you are proclaiming poverty, even if you recite prosperity. When you feel rich, you are proclaiming abundance, even if the world still shows otherwise. The universe is not guided by logic, but by conviction. You were created in the image of the Creator. This means that you also create through consciousness. And all creation begins within, in the silence where only the I Am resides. It is there that you call things by name, not with sounds, but with certainty. When the inner Christ said, "Lazarus, come forth," he was demonstrating the law. Life responds to the voice of awakened consciousness. And in the same way, when you say inwardly, "Money, come," abundance, manifest, prosperity, it is already so. You are not asking, you are commanding. And reality obedient responds. But this command only has power when born of unwavering faith, not of haste or doubt. Therefore, abandon the habit of pleading. Stop begging for signs, supplicating for miracles. The greatest miracle is the recognition of your own power. Everything you seek already exists in potential within you, waiting for you to speak the right name, the name of one who knows they already possess. The inner voice that says, "I am rich, I am provided for, I am abundance," is not affirming a desire, but revealing an eternal truth. So from now on, walk through the world with the demeanor of one who has already received. Speak, think, and act as one who already has. Call money by name with the serenity of the ancients who knew that the invisible is the only real. When fear comes, silence it with the remembrance, I lack nothing, for everything is an extension of what I am. When the world challenges you, smile in silence, because form is slow, but consciousness is immediate. And so, in this instant, declare within yourself effortlessly and without doubt, I and wealth are one being. Feel the power of that phrase. Let it echo in every cell until the external world can do nothing but mirror your conviction. Because one who calls with faith does not wait, they already live. And when the awakened being within you calls, the entire universe bows in obedience. You look around and believe that destiny is a roulette wheel, that random events accumulate and decide the course of life. But I tell you with all authority, there is no luck, no chance, no whim of external forces casting your paths to the wind. What you are experiencing now at this very moment is merely the echo of a decree already made within you, often without realizing it. Life is like a faithful mirror that invents nothing on its own. It merely reflects, with absolute precision, what consciousness has delivered to it as a model. And that is why a single word, when understood and used with conviction, can completely transform your reality in a matter of hours. The word is Amen. But not as you have been using it, as a formal period at the end of your prayers. Amen is not a farewell. It is not a religious formula. It is not an empty ritual. Amen is a seal. It is the invisible signature that closes doubt and opens certainty. It is the final hammer blow that drives the decree into the invisible. So it is confirmed, it has already happened. You pronounce it without thinking, but within it lies an ancient and unbreakable law. Everything sealed with Amen must manifest. Not because the external world wills it, but because the invisible has already accepted it as fact. Imagine a contract being signed in front of witnesses. When the pen touches the paper and the signature is made, no one discusses whether it will happen. It is signed. It is sealed. It is only a matter of time before the effects are felt. The same occurs with the conscious use of Amen. You can no longer use this word as if closing a lifeless prayer. You must use it as if stamping approval on your desired reality. If your heart asks for prosperity, do not say maybe someday. If the natural mind demands proof, do not engage in debates. Simply declare Amen. And there, at that instant, invisible life moves to organize the threads of reality in favor of what has been sealed. You need to understand that the natural mind is like a restless child, always asking for signs, always asking, has it arrived? Is it coming? But every time you say Amen, you silence it. You say, it is done. Ask me no more. This is the key to attracting within 24 hours what once seemed distant, because the universe cannot resist a decree sealed with conviction. It has no choice. It must obey the internal state that has already been affirmed. Do not treat Amen as an empty sound. Treat it as a sword. Each time you pronounce it silently or in a low voice, you are engraving into the invisible the certainty that what you desire already belongs to you. And when this is done consciously, the mind begins to change its stance. The body reacts. You move as one who already possesses. And in this state, everything accelerates, everything approaches, everything bows to the decree. You were not born to beg. You did not come to earth to implore external forces to decide for you. You came to decree. The power was given to you, but many waste it with doubts, with prayers of despair, with weightless words. Use Amen as a seal. Say Amen and let life do the rest. You will see money, opportunities, and miracles arrive unexpectedly, because the invisible cannot withstand the firmness of one who has already confirmed their inheritance. Amen is not the end. Amen is the beginning of manifestation. It is the certification that the work is already complete, even if human eyes do not see it. And from this moment, if you have the courage to seal your desires with this word and do not retreat, you will see within 24 hours that the external world bows to the internal decree. And when that happens, you will never again live as victims. You will live as creators. How many times have you found yourself surrounded by thoughts of doubt? It's as if an insistent, cruel inner voice tries to sabotage every confident step you take. You decide to believe you can prosper, but then comes the whisper. What if it doesn't work out? What if it's just imagination? What if you're deceiving yourself? This battle is not against people, nor against external circumstances. This war happens within you, and it is the natural mind trying to tie you to the old state, the state of limitation. It doesn't easily accept a new vision because it has been conditioned to trust only what the eyes see and what the senses prove. But it is precisely at this point that the word I give you becomes an invincible weapon. Amen. When doubt appears, most people tend to argue with it. The mind begins to question, and you respond by trying to explain, trying to convince, trying to bring logic to what is spiritual. And the more you argue, the more strength you give to the thought that should be silenced. The secret is not to argue, the secret is to seal. Instead of spending energy justifying why you believe, simply end the conversation with a decree. Amen. This word has the power to close the door, like someone locking a dark room so that nothing else can emerge from it. It cuts the cycle of doubt and establishes that what has been assumed is already confirmed. Consider this. You desire prosperity. The apparent reality is one of scarcity, perhaps even accumulated bills. You look at your bank balance and your mind screams, "It is impossible to change this quickly, there's no way." Normally you would try to think positive, or search for proof that it's possible, but the path is different. To each accusation from the mind, you respond internally. Amen. So it is. It is already signed in the invisible. There is no more room for negotiation. You don't argue with the bank, you don't argue with logic. You seal it like someone striking the gavel in court and closing the case. This conscious use of Amen tricks the natural mind because it expects a justification. It wants you to show it external proof to shut it up. But when you surprise it with a definitive answer, without explanation, just the seal, it no longer finds fertile ground. It loses its strength, and at that instant, your energy, which was previously wasted in internal discussions, begins to be used to sustain the vision of what you desire. The silence that Amen generates within is the space where the miracle begins to manifest. Imagine a person signing a sales contract. Before the signature, there are questions, doubts, negotiations, but the moment the pen marks the paper and the signature is made, it's over. There's no more conversation. It is signed. This is exactly how Amen works in the practice of imagination. Doubt may persist, but you have already stamped it. Amen. The invisible contract has been affirmed. The mind may even grumble, but it no longer has the power to change what has been sealed. And here is what few understand. The speed of manifestation depends on the firmness with which you seal your thoughts. Those who debate with doubt prolong the process. Those who immediately close the door with the seal of Amen shorten the path. That is why many things move in 24 hours. Because you did not allow the natural mind to grow roots of uncertainty. You did not feed the wavering. You simply sealed it, and the invisible, which is obedient, immediately began to work to align circumstances. So the next time doubt comes, don't explain, don't argue, don't plead. Respond only with the seal. Say internally, Amen. And remain silent, knowing that what has been sealed already is. This is the first move of authority, learning to end the conversation with the natural mind and not giving it the power to dictate your experience. Because where Amen exists, doubt no longer exists. And where there is no doubt, the miracle finds a swift path to manifest. Have you ever noticed that you often repeat beautiful words, affirmations, and even prayers, but feel that nothing truly changes? It's because the mind isn't convinced by sounds alone. It needs to be tricked by vivid images. Saying you believe in prosperity while inwardly seeing yourself in lack is like planting a seed in dry soil. No root can survive. The word Amen only reveals its strength when associated with a concrete inner vision. It's not enough to pronounce it. You must seal something that can already be seen within you. Close your eyes for an instant and see yourself exactly as you wish to be. See the bank statement with high figures. Imagine the deposit notification arriving on your phone. Feel your hands counting cash. Hear the sound of notes moving between your fingers. Don't imagine as someone watching a distant film. See yourself as the protagonist. Allow the scene to be so real in your mind that your body begins to react. Your heart accelerates, a smile appears, your breathing changes. It is at this moment that you declare internally, Amen. This word seals the scene and transforms it into fact. It is no longer in the realm of maybe someday, but in the domain of certainty. The common error is to use Amen automatically, as if it were just a period. But the true power lies in connecting it to a clear image, so strong that the natural mind cannot distinguish whether it is a memory or imagination. It simply accepts, and once accepted, it begins to organize the external world to correspond. The natural mind is limited, but imagination is infinite. When you seal a scene with Amen, there is no turning back. The decree has already been registered in the invisible. Many will say, but I tried to visualize and felt nothing. That's because they were forcing it. It's not about effort, but about surrender. Let the scene come gently, even if simple. You signing a contract, receiving a message, paying a bill without worry. And when this scene arises, however small, declare Amen. Feel that it is signed. This simplicity is what cuts the cycle of doubt. Each image sealed with Amen is like a seed planted in the invisible garden. Some germinate in minutes, others in hours, but all are destined to sprout because they were watered with certainty. And what accelerates the process is precisely conscious repetition. Each time the scene returns, each time you seal it again, you are fertilizing, reinforcing, deepening the root of manifestation. Therefore, do not limit the word to cold repetition. Use it as the hammer that fixes the vision in the inner world. See, feel, and then declare, Amen. If you do this, you will not just be saying a word, but signing a sentence in the court of the invisible. And such a sentence cannot be annulled. It must be fulfilled in the visible world. It is almost inevitable. After sealing a desire within yourself, the natural mind begins to look around for proof. You find yourself repeating, has anything changed? Is it coming already? Is it really going to happen? This impulse is the reflection of a consciousness still dependent on the external world. But here is the truth that few accept. Signs only appear after the inner seal, never before. The reflection does not anticipate the mirror's movement. First you assume within, then life reflects it externally. This is one of the biggest mistakes that delay manifestation. One says Amen in the morning, and by evening is already testing reality to see if there has been any response. Like someone planting a seed and digging up the earth every hour to see if the root has sprouted. This behavior kills the process. The invisible does not move to prove to you that it is working. It moves to reflect the firm stance of one who no longer needs proof. When you seal inwardly, it's like signing a document. The signature already guarantees the contract, even before delivery. You don't beg the registry office to show you it's registered, you know. And this certainty is what opens the way for changes to appear quickly. Amen works exactly like this. It closes the case before your eyes can see any evidence. When you say Amen, you are affirming that you do not depend on signs to believe. You are decreeing that the invisible has already accepted the request, and that the visible world will merely follow the inevitable script. He who understands this stops monitoring circumstances and begins to monitor only their inner posture. Think of someone who needs money and seals their vision of abundance with Amen. If an unexpected bill appears the same day, the natural reaction would be to say, see, nothing has changed. But this is the test. This is the moment to remain unshakable and respond, Amen, it is already paid. Because what matters is not the external sign, but the internal seal. The external world is slow, dense. It needs time to reorganize itself. The invisible is instantaneous. The moment you seal, it is already done. The visible merely needs to align with the decree. The secret, therefore, is not to watch the world for indications. The secret is to rest in the seal. It is like trusting a package that has already been mailed. You done to see the package, but you know it's on its way because you received confirmation. Amen is that confirmation. Those who rush to seek signs demonstrate that they have not truly sealed. But those who seal and rest invariably see the miracle materialize in a few hours or days. Therefore, when the mind begins to press for proof, silence it firmly. Declare, Amen, and proceed as one who already possesses. This is true faith, not looking outward, but remaining unshakable within. And the result is inevitable. Sooner or later, and often in less than 24 hours, the external world will bow its knee before what was affirmed in your imagination. Have you noticed how the world always seems to want to strip away the confidence you've just embraced? Just decide you're going to prosper, and someone will come talking about a crisis. Just seal a vision of abundance, and an unexpected bill knocks at your door. The old state always tries to call your attention back. It is at this moment that most falter, because they let the external dictate the tone of the internal. But here is the key. Amen is not just a word to use in silence after visualizing. It is also a living response that needs to accompany every step of your day. When someone tells you it's difficult, the economy is broken, you don't need to debate or try to prove anything. Just declare internally, Amen to my abundance. This response cuts the root of external suggestion and keeps you firm in your state. When an unexpected bill appears, instead of being filled with fear and feeling defeated, respond inwardly. Amen, it is already paid. The visible world thinks it can force you to bow, but it doesn't realize that you carry within you a word that ends any threat. Each time you use Amen in this way, you are driving invisible stakes of certainty. It's like hammering a tent into firm ground. Each blow fixes it deeper until nothing can knock it down. The daily Amen is that hammer. It prevents you from being swept away by news, opinions, momentary circumstances. It is the word that transforms every external attack into an internal confirmation. Because every time you seal again, you affirm that the visible does not command you. It merely obeys. Understand that the most subtle enemy is the repetition of the environment. Hearing about crisis every day, seeing bills every day, it is natural to believe that this is your destiny. But when you bring Amen into every situation, you create a new habit, a new reflex. The mind begins to get used to responding with certainty, not despair. And this conditioning changes your vibration, changes your posture, changes your harvest. The invisible finds free passage because there are no more interruptions of doubt. This active use of Amen during the day is the most practical way to trick the natural mind. You catch it by surprise, not allowing it to build stories of fear. You cut the narrative before it grows, and in this silence, this cut, the decree is free to operate. Therefore, do not reserve Amen only for moments of prayer or imagination. Bring it into your routine. Use it as a shield and a sword. Every thought of scarcity, every word of crisis, every bill that tries to haunt you must be answered with this seal. Make this a natural reflex, and you will see how life begins to adjust quickly. Because a mind that responds with Amen in every situation is a mind that does not negotiate with doubt. And faced with this firmness, the world has no choice. It must bow and deliver exactly what you have already confirmed. To live as one who has already sealed everything is to definitively abandon the posture of someone who asks, pleads, or waits for signs to then believe. It is to assume the position of one who has already signed an irrevocable contract in the invisible and now simply enjoys the certainty that the world has no choice but to comply. Many still use the word Amen as a timid plea to heaven, but the true power lies in transforming it into the final seal of all things. After declaring Amen, you do not continue to beg for the same desire. Just as no one who has already signed a valid document returns to the registry office to ask for new confirmation, once sealed, it is done. The role of faith is to live as one who has already received. This means walking, speaking, and reacting as one who already has what they asked for. If you sealed abundance, do not speak like a poor person. Do not react like one who lives at the mercy of luck. Every gesture must carry the posture of one who already possesses. When your senses scream that nothing has changed, remember, the mirror takes an instant to reflect the movement, but it cannot fail. The invisible is immediate. The visible merely follows with a delay. Your role is not to monitor the delay, but to sustain the seal. Here is a point few understand. Living as one who has already sealed means no longer negotiating with the natural mind. When it tries to raise doubts, you don't argue, you don't explain, you don't pray again. You simply rest in Amen. And resting doesn't mean doing nothing, but acting in the world with the confidence of one who already is. You pay a bill as one who knows there will be more provision, You go to work or to a negotiation as one who already carries victory. You respond to circumstances with serenity because you have already decreed the end of the story. This is the courage that transforms the atmosphere around you in 24 hours. The invisible moves quickly when it finds someone who no longer asks, but commands. And Amen is the silent command that cannot be reversed. Therefore, do not allow yourself to go back. Once the seal has been given, remain. Your posture is proof that you truly believed. He who continues to beg demonstrates that he signed nothing. He who seals and rests manifests. So the call is this: live as kings who have already issued their decree. Do not beg for approval. Do not wait for signs. Do not let yourselves be swayed by appearances. Everything is already written in the invisible, and the seal that guarantees it is simple and definitive. Amen. Each time you doubt, remember what has already been stamped. Each step you take it as one who already possesses. It is in this state that life bows, doors open, and money, opportunities, and miracles arrive so naturally that they will seem like coincidences. But you will know it was not by chance, it was the reflection of the seal. Everything you have heard so far points to a single truth. Life does not happen from the outside in, but from the inside out. The visible world is merely an echo, an inevitable reflection of what has been silently assumed in the heart. And the word I give you, Amen, is not a religious ornament, but the invisible seal that closes doubt and gives order to the invisible to manifest. When used consciously, it silences the natural mind, associates itself with vivid images of abundance, cuts off the need for signs, transforms into a firm response in the face of circumstances, and establishes the posture of one who already possesses. You are no longer authorized to live as beggars of life, imploring for external changes. That posture needs to die today. The call is to live as creators, as kings who decree with authority and rest in the certainty of the decree. Use Amen as the final hammer blow that seals what you desire. Use it to cut the cycle of doubt, to engrave the desired scene into the invisible, to respond to the provocations of the external world, and to walk as one who already has. From now on, every true desire that arises within you should not be treated with uncertainty, but sealed immediately with this word. Do not allow the natural mind to drag you back to wavering. The power lies in remaining firm in the seal, because what is affirmed in the invisible must by law manifest in the visible. So rise up, stop waiting for signs and begging for answers. Open your mouth, declare within yourself with conviction, and make Amen the irrevocable sentence of your life. Because when you seal in this way, the universe has no alternative. It bows, it obeys, it delivers. And you will see in less than a day that what seemed impossible was already written, already guaranteed, already alive within you. Amen is not the end. Amen is the beginning of manifestation.